everybody, it's Kira and welcome back to my channel. So today I have my August wrap up and haul for you guys. So read some pretty good books in the last month. I have my little notebook with me so that way I remember all of the things. Also, big news, I got my hair cut short, which I have not done for like over 13 years. I really I think 3rd grade was the last time I had it like shorter than like being super long. So it's super fun and I love it a lot. Anyways, first I'll show you the 3 books that I got in the last month. So the first one was The Hawthorne Legacy by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. This is book 2 in the Inheritance Games series, I guess it's called. Book 3 just came out, which I'm very excited about. I'm waiting for it at the library. My friend is actually borrowing my copy right at the moment, but so she can read them for the first time. But yeah, very excited. I definitely need to reread them before I read book 3 because I remember book 1 pretty well, but book 2, there was a lot of twists and turns that I was not expecting, and I do not remember which ones ended up being true and which ones they were like, just kidding, this is not correct. So definitely gonna have to reread that one again. And then I also got Companion to Narnia by Paul F. Ford. This is basically just like an index of places, people, things, characters, in the world of Narnia, and then like explanations about their names or about like what they are. Me and my friends were at a used bookstore, like a it was like a small used bookstore. My friend pointed this out to me, just like, here you go, and I was like, ah, perfect. So I haven't read this, but I'm very excited to read it. I love anything Narnia related, so this is awesome. And then from that same place, I got Realm Breaker by Victoria Aveyard. Now, this is book 1 in Victoria Aveyard's new fantasy series. I don't know how many books there's going to be, actually. I'm hesitant to read this just because I did not like the Red Queen series, which is the only other series that I've read by her. I actually don't know if Victoria Aveyard has any other books out, or if it's just a Red Queen series in this. But I follow her on TikTok, actually, and she makes really funny TikToks. And I've heard good things about this specific book, so I'm hopeful that it was just like first book series. I just didn't like that, but then this will be more appealing. For me, I remember Red Queen was just like, felt very just like trope filled and just like, I've read all of this before, but you're not doing anything new and exciting with these things that I've read before. So I didn't like that, but I'm very excited. There's like this whole like bunch of people that like, yeah, an unlikely group of reluctant allies, which I'm starting to realize more and more is like my kryptonite. I love stories about like groups that are thrown together and have to complete a quest or whatever kind of a thing. So I don't know too much about this, but I know that it's the first in a new fantasy series and I'm excited for it. Alrighty, so now we'll get into the books that I read in the last month. So first up we have a graphic novel, and that is Stranger Things Dungeons and Dragons. This is by a whole bunch of people. I don't read graphic novels all that often, but this was at my library and I was like, sounds fun. So it's basically just the story of how the party comes to play D&D, and it was interesting because it starts before season 1 and then actually has like little scenes from like most of the seasons after that. So it was really fun and just enjoyable to read. It's super short, even for a graphic novel, so I finished it pretty quickly. And I know there are like other graphic novels, and I know there are also other like novels in like the Stranger Things universe that people have written, but I haven't read any of them. But this was just super fun and cute, and I love these characters so much. Speaking of loving characters so much, after that I reread Book Lovers by Emily Henry. Yes, I just read this a month before. No, I do not care whatsoever. I actually annotated it this time, so you can see all my like sticky notes in here. I just loved this book so much. I didn't really have anything that I was like planning to read next, so I thought, why not just pick this one up? So, oh, the other reason, that's right, the other reason that I picked this one up is that I DNF'd a book. Let's see if I can remember what it was called. It was something along the lines of Book Lovers, but it was, oh man, I knew I should have written it down. Yeah, I can't remember what it was called, but it was something like, that was just a little bit too similar to Book Lovers, but not nearly as well done. I figured out too, the main character in that book, her name was Nora, and the main character's name in this book was Nora. But basically it was about this girl who like works in publishing, and she just works at like a struggling company, and she wants more from her job, and she like doesn't have any friends and is overworked and underpaid and all this stuff. And then she gets an offer to work for a rival publishing company, and so she ends up actually working for both and keeping it a secret. But I DNF'd it because it was not fun. Like, this girl was constantly thinking about the struggles of like how much money she had and how much time she was working. And the thing was that like, I know I made it like halfway through, and the possible love interest, because I thought it was going to be like a romance, but the possible love interest, there wasn't hardly anything really happening with that even halfway through. And she like didn't have any friends to, or like siblings to break up the like depressing nature of her struggles. And I don't want to, like, saying that out loud, it sounds kind of bad because you're like, oh my gosh, like these are real struggles that people go through. And I don't want to diminish that at all. But especially when, for me personally, I read for escapism most of the time. And so I don't really want to be reminded of that. But I think a lot of it was just that she was missing, like, interpersonal relationships that were important to her. She had one friend that was, like, she was kind of close with, and they'd go out for drinks every once in a while. But her friend had like left their publishing company and went to a different one. And so it was like, that was her only like close relationship in any form. And then like reading that and then going back and rereading Book Lovers, like Nora's relationship with her sister Libby is like, so half the fun of this book is her and her sister. So I feel like in that one there was just like something missing in the like relationship building of anybody. And it made it not fun to read. So that was why I picked up Book Lovers again, because I was like, I need to just like refresh from that. And I was really sad because I don't DNF books very often, but I was like, it's not worth my time. So then I reread Book Lovers. Nora and Charlie, fantastic. Their banter, so incredible. But also, yeah, like I was saying earlier, Nora's banter with Libby is also so much fun. Like, they love each other and they have fun together. And I mean, that's the whole point, or part of the point of this book, is like Nora is taking Libby on this trip, or Libby's taking Nora. You know, they're going on this like vacation together. And like Nora, a lot of what Nora does is motivated by how it's going to impact Libby. And a lot of, you find out too, like a lot of what Libby does is also motivated by how Nora is going to react. And so they kind of have to come to a realization of like, Nora's trying to mother Libby, or like fill in the role of like a parent to Libby because their parents died, or because their mom died so young. And so they kind of, like, I know there's one part in the end where Libby's like, I need you to just be my sister and sit with me and say, this sucks, and like, not try to fix it right away. And I love like their relationship. Obviously Nora and Charlie's relationship is so fantastic. They're so cute and just witty with each other, but also like willing to push each other and understand each other in just like so completely. It's so amazing. But this time around I was also very much appreciating Libby and Nora's relationship as well. So yeah, it was just a super fun, cute book, and I highly, highly recommend it. After that, I kept my romance streak alive by reading Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. I obviously have heard a lot about this, and it's getting a movie adaptation, so I was curious. It was at the library, so I picked it up. It's nice working at a library because when you see books that are just staying at your branch, then you can be like, I will just take this one. So that's what I did with this one. So I enjoyed it. I thought it was really fun, the like politic part of it too, which I didn't think I was going to enjoy as much as I did. But I did really appreciate the like intricacies that they talked about between like being part of the royal family versus the president's family. So it was fun. Although then I was looking into the movie adaptation, and they're being very secretive about the movie adaptation. So that makes me very, very curious for what's going to happen with that. I still don't know a whole lot about it just in general, but yeah, it's just solid, good read. Then after that, I read 3 books that are all based on a podcast. So I read The Infinite Noise, A Neon Darkness, and Some Faraway Place. These are all written by Lauren Shippen. So I'll just hold up Infinite Noise. So this podcast is called The Bright Sessions, and it's created by Lauren Shippen. So it was cool the creator of the podcast wrote these books. So I've been super into fictional podcasts recently. And so this one starts off as, it's about a therapist for people with powers. So it starts off with a telepath, a time traveler, and an empath. And so the empath is who we follow in An Infinite Noise. In the beginning of the podcast, it's just like their therapy sessions, and you can kind of be like, there is something fishy is going on here with the therapist, Dr. Bright. And then as you keep going, eventually you get into more plot-related things, which I think are way more fun than just the normal therapy sessions. But yeah, so there's 4 main seasons of the original Bright Sessions podcast. The 5th season has just extra bonus episodes. Season 6 follows them. It's called the AM Archives, which stands for Atypical Monitors. People with powers are called atypicals in this world. And so the AM monitor, the Atypical Monitors, the AM Archives is the name of the spin-off podcast, and they have another spin-off podcast that follows these 2 characters in college. So basically, sorry, that was a whole lot, but you follow in The Infinite Noise, you follow Caleb, and he is an empath, and he is a junior in high school, and he is struggling. Is he started with his junior? Yes, he's 16. He plays football, and he's a junior in high school, and he is struggling with this empath ability because he's just getting all these inputs from all of the people at school, and he's just feeling super overwhelmed. And then there's another boy named Adam who is, Caleb uses colors sometimes to kind of describe the different emotions that he's feeling from other people, and he can focus in on Adam's emotions and be like, if I'm yellow and he's blue, his blue is just way too overwhelming, and it's all I can focus on. So Dr. Bright, his therapist, is like, why don't you get to know this boy? So it just follows the 2 of them as they figure out high school and relationships, and eventually it starts a little bit before the beginning of the 1st season, and then it goes through the end of season 3 in just a tiny bit into season 4. So if you're looking timeline-wise, but yeah, it's just the story of them, and I love them so much. It's so fun. It's not the best book I've ever read, but I just love this world and these characters so much. This world meaning people with powers. It's set in our world. But yeah, it's just a lot of fun, and I guess a lot of people or some people found the podcast through this book, so if you're looking to get into it, this is a good starting place for then finding the podcast. Also, the podcast is just amazing, but yeah, so I read this one. Then after that, I read A Neon Darkness, which follows Damien, one of the main characters in the podcast that you meet a little bit later on. And this is more of his backstory. So I love this tagline, what if the villain of your story is you? Because Damien's power is he can not manipulate, or he can't mind control, but he can basically make other people want what he wants. So he can basically control people to do whatever he wants. And so, as you can imagine, this led his life to be very, very interesting. So this follows him when he's 18 and just fills in more backstory things about him that are very fascinating. And then listening to the podcast again, you're kind of like, I don't know. You can kind of see how he becomes the person he is in the podcast. And then after that, I read Some Faraway Place, which is about Rose Atkinson, who you meet later on in the podcast, and she is a dream walker, so she can go into other people's dreams. And so it kind of follows her a little bit before we meet her in the podcast as well, through the end of season 4. So it's mostly I think it's a tiny bit before season 3 and then into season 4. But it's interesting because you also get more, this one is more expansive as far as the world goes and other characters because of what happens to Rose and the characters she interacts with more. you get more of other people. So I would say like these two definitely don't read if you haven't listened to the podcast, because I think they won't make as much sense. But I think The Infinite Noise, you could still read this if you haven't listened to it. But anyways, Bright Sessions. It's amazing and incredible, and the books are really fun if you like the world of the podcast and love the characters as much as I do. And then after that, I read Love on the Brain by Ali Hazelwood. This was my last read of August. I read it in like one day, I think, which I wasn't originally intending to do. I think I've decided I like The Love Hypothesis a little bit better than I like this one, but this, I'm going to forget their characters' names. B and Levi. Those are the two main characters. So basically, B works at... it's another like women in STEM one, so she is I can't remember now, but she works in kind of with engineering, and then gets paired with her nemesis Levi to work on this big project for NASA, and it's fun. The thing that I didn't like is that like at first there's a lot of like miscommunication stuff, and so like Levi honestly like seems like such a jerk in the beginning, but then like they end up clearing that up, and then they kind of start to become friends. But then B kept insisting that they hated each other, and it's even when I think they both were very friendly. I mean, it's romance, so you kind of know from the get-go like he definitely just loves her and can't talk to her because of that, so then he like shuts himself off, and that makes him come off as very mean. But like even once she like starts to get to know him, and I would say like they were both really friends, she would still say like, oh, but we hate each other. And I'm like, girl, like chill out. Like it's okay if you become friends, you know, like it's okay. So, and then there's a crazy twist near the end that like it like went from 0 to 100 so fast. I was not expecting that. I was expecting like this reveal, and I'd hoped this person wasn't the way that they were, but then they ended up being that, and I was like, huh, man. But then like something else happens, and you're like, holy crap, was not ready for that at all. But it was still really fun to read, and yeah, read it in like one day. So yeah, that's it. Those are all the books that I read in the month of August. Comment down below, let me know if you've read any of them and what your favorite reads of the last month were. If you've listened to the Bright Sessions, please let me know, because I'm just loving it so much. And Caleb and Adam especially, like, just have my heart. I love them. Damien also is like one of the most complex and interesting characters I've ever seen. He just makes a lot of choices that you're just like, ah. So, yeah, but anyways, that's it for this video. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you want to follow me on social media, my links will be in the description as always. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.